Miss Villery, first off, though, thank you so much. Look, I understand with technology, it could be a little bit crazy too. So I appreciate you being flexible.
Well, thank you so very much, Caleb.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Starting off, how did you get involved into rodeo culture, which is very big, where you're from? I'm from Georgia, born and raised. I can possibly say I've probably only been to like one or two, but it's not like a yearly thing over here. So how was that for you growing up where you're from?
Oh my gosh, I'm a third generation.
Wow.
I was born into this.
Yes, ma'am.
So my grandfather and two of my uncles helped start one of the first all-black rodeo associations in
Mm,
Southeast.
wow.
Uh, had one of my uncles on a board in Lake Charles area, helped build Burton Coliseum.
Mm.
They did. My other uncle, he was an announcer and a rodeo secretary. So I grew up running around as a little girl, and my other grandparents, my dad and mom, they worked the concession. So, I mean, I come from that culture.
Mhm.
My great grandfathers, they rodeo. That was their life. You
Yes,
know. So growing up into this, that was normal for me.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. First Black female rodeo announcer. Like, how does that feel, when people start off with Acynthia Villery, she's the first in this field? How does that feel for you, knowing that?
Oh my gosh. Um, it's very humbling. I always say that
Yeah.
because how it came about was 3 years, three
Mm.
years ago. We partnered with the PBR
Wow.
and we first rodeo at Cowtown Coliseum. We
Hmm.
started Texas Connection series, and the PBR does some things a little bit different, which
Yeah.
really was exciting and enhanced us. And they had a lot of PR reads. So
Mm.
Marco and Valeria was like, "Hey, we need your help." Marco said, "Can you read these PRs?" I was like, "Sure." I talk in front of people all the time. I don't have a problem with that. That's my life. And so I start reading the PRs, about the sponsors and everything.
Mm.
And throughout the rodeo, Marcus Friday was our announcer. And every now and then when I saw a dead spell, I would say something.
Mm.
So after it was over, we had a recap meeting and Valeria looked at me. She was like, "You need to consider going to announcer school." And I kind of laughed. She was like, "No, really." So we did the next one. I talked a little bit more, because, I'm respecting Marcus, his position, but, I'm talking more.
Yeah.
And then after the rodeo, I'm sitting down and we're getting ready to leave. And I'm scrolling through Facebook. And Valeria talks about, Bill Pickett's always first to do many things, and she talks about that first having our traveling museum, etc. She said, "I want to introduce you to our first African American female rodeo announcer, Acynthia Villery." And like I tell everybody, I lost it.
Mm.
I lost it. And Marcus has worked with me these past 3 years. I was a rodeo secretary for, gosh, almost 30 years. And
Mm.
like would tell me, you know the rules, you know the stuff, the contestants. He said, "I just need you to get it out your head and talk about it."
Wow.
And so that's what I do.
Yes, ma'am.
And, it's just really exciting and humbling because people come up to me, little girls, and they're
Mm.
like, "I want to be just like you." And I'm
Mm.
like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
because I never want to do anything that's going to cause somebody else to go wrong.
Hmm.
Never. And so being able to talk to them and then knowing that, to give you a little history, when it comes to rodeo, of course, it's a man's,
Yeah.
majority time, it is not a African American male,
Hmm.
that's when you look at some of the other rodeos, but we
Right.
do have rodeos. But being women in rodeo is rare, even though it has really, since Valerie took over in 2015, it is something that's our norm. But when
Hmm.
you look at the announcers and the PRCA, the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, there's only two African American male
Wow.
rodeo.
Wow.
Two.
Mm.
Now, there's a lot of us that announce all over. For some of the other rodeo associations, a lot of them are local within Texas, Oklahoma. There's some in, throughout the United States, but at the top, there's only two.
Wow.
And no women that are rodeo announcers with associations. And so to be able to represent women and break that glass ceiling and break those doors and say, hey, we can do this, to be able to have little girls go, one day I can do something like this,
Right.
What if I don't compete, but I love the rodeo? There's things that we can do. And so I look at it as an opportunity. I thank God all the time. I'm just the vessel.
Yes, ma'am.
That was able to come about this, open those doors so other women can step in.
I love that. And, to your point, for all the other young Black women, how can they become more involved in rodeos?
Oh my gosh. All they need to do is find one locally. Okay.
Wow.
And of course, there's, you can always go on YouTube and everything else. But my personal suggestion would be you need to be there. You need to feel it. You need to understand the culture. You need to pay attention, ask questions, find someone who you can shadow on whatever you want to do. If that's being an arena director, understanding sports, if you want to be a woman judge, if you want to be find somebody that you can shadow. And then invest in that time, invest in the knowledge, do your research, pay attention, and then you can go there.
Yes, ma'am. How would you best describe rodeo culture? Because now it's become popularized, everybody's seeing it, but what is rodeo culture to its core?
Oh my gosh. To me, because it's been my life, it's family. We are unique to that, just like, different sports. But when it comes to rodeo family, we travel together, we eat together, we pray together. Okay. We cry together, we hug each other. But when I look at the contestants, there can be a cowboy that competes, he gets off his horse and he helps the next cowboy to do his best to possibly beat him.
Wow.
So when it comes to the pushing and the pulling and I got you, yes, to me, that's what rodeo is. And it's something that spreads across the United States, spreads across the whole world because, different pockets have rodeo. But to me, it's family.
Yes, ma'am. Beyonce, she just dropped an amazing album, Cowboy Carter. It's a very big album. I think 27 songs, country music charts. She's killing it. But now this has sparked an entire generation to start doing research and seeing, hey, the term cowboy came from this. We were the first cowboys, cowgirls. So important because as kids, we'll think whether it's the Dallas Cowboys or Western movies that it's this white man who's coming to save the world. But in all actuality, it was us. Why is that so important for us to know? Country music, cowboy, cowgirl, that's actually us.
It is because a lot of our history is not written.
Right.
1 in every 4 cowboys were Black. The terminology cowboy came about from them calling us boys.
Yep.
And we handled the cattle. And we did the cattle drives, which they also refer to as trail rides, getting from one end to the next. They were the ranch hands. And nobody wanted to be called a cowboy. That was kind of derogatory. They were wranglers and wrestlers. Now everybody wants to be a cowboy. Educating, especially our own, letting them know, hey, they broke barriers. This is why you're able to do this. This is what they did. They paved the way. Like Bill Pickett. One of the most notable cowboys that we name our rodeo association after. Okay. Things he did and inventing the event they call steer wrestling today, which is actually bulldogging because he invented the event. So, we go to markets and there's people that don't even know because it's not not there. It may be a story or two that may be in some books that you can pick up, or it may be a certain cowboy that's written a book about himself.
Right.
But not a book that captures that. And one of the things that is my goal that I am working on now, because I just had this conversation with Valeria, who's our CEO and runs our organization. And I was talking about my book. And she was like, why do you want to write that? I said, because the stories need to be told.
Mm.
We need to be able to go open a book and know about the different people that have made imprints, like our
Yep.
Clint LeBlancs, like our Corey Solomons, Murtis Dightmans, Charlie Sampsons. But what about the locals that nobody knows about?
Exactly. Yep.
Like the Willie Foo-Foos. Nobody
Mm.
knows about. He's from Southeast Texas.
Mm.
Different other ones that have made an impact. We need to know about them because
Hmm.
they made a difference. They may not have gone to the big rodeos to set records, but set records in their own hometown, or
That's
basically their.
That's right. Yes, ma'am. That's powerful. And having the chance to read up on Bill Pickett, seeing, hey, he was the first cowboy, period. Everything he did, pioneered, bulldog, and all of that stuff. But now I get so frustrated because it's like growing up, you'll think, oh, Black people aren't country. Black people aren't cowboys. Black people didn't do this. Bill Pickett, who is he and why is he so important?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go a little bit further back with that
Hmm.
because one who started our rodeo association
Hmm.
went to a rodeo, the Cheyenne Frontier Days, and he
Mm.
looked and he didn't see anybody that looked like us,
Wow.
but he knew we existed. So he did his research and he found Bill Pickett, and he
Mm.
read how Bill Pickett, what he did as a ranch hand, because he worked on Ranch 101 with the Miller brothers. He
Wow.
also, and how he would entertain, and he would do the bulldogging event where he would grab a steer by the horns, bite him on the lip, and flip him
Wow.
with no.
Bite him on the
And,
lip. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and so he was like, that has to be told.
Mm.
So he created a rodeo, and our vision is to continue to educate about the Black West, who made an impact in the Black West, like Stagecoach Mary Fields, Bass Reeves, different other people that have impact, Nat Love. And so in some of our rodeos, we actually, how can you say, we actually have our contestants go out and portray the characters as we
Mm.
read Black.
Wow.
Okay. And
Yep.
then getting back to Bill Pickett, educating and letting everybody know who he was, that our legacy for the past 40 years,
Mm.
educate everyone that we possibly can touch who Bill
Mm.
Pickett was and the Black West history.
Wow. That's amazing. That's great. That's great. Yeah, cowboys. We talk about them, all the men, but cowgirls, who are some prominent cowgirls as well, so we can show some prominent love to the ladies too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We have some amazing women. We have some of them that are business owners, some of them that are managers in corporate America, some that are nurses, but they love to rodeo. That's their passion.
Hmm.
And started off with Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo with one women event, and it was the ladies barrel racing. And so
Wow.
that's the they had. Then some talented cowgirls came up and like, well, if men can bulldog, let's create a version of that for women. And
Mm.
that's how steer and decorating came up.
Mm.
So them dismounting from their horse and flipping the steer over, they actually reach for a ribbon, which is a piece of tape off the back of a steer while they're flying 30 miles per hour.
Wow.
And then recently, within the last say 2-3 years, we have added the ladies breakaway, which is
Mm.
the version of calf roping. They don't have to dismount once again and tie the calf down. They just have to rope them within the time. So now we have 3 events for women.
Wow.
But from where I'm from, there are women with all women rodeos. So we have
Mm.
women bareback. We have women that ride bulls. We have women that do every one of the events. And because I live in Texas, that's just a normal thing for me. Rodeos every weekend, 2, 3 of them, and horses down the road. But there's not too many other areas that people go, oh my God, really? Oklahoma's another one that have rodeos all the time. But if
Yep.
you go markets like, we would go to St. Louis, we would go to Detroit, we would
Wow.
go to several others, and they never seen a Black cowboy. They
Hmm.
never
I can believe it.
or touched a horse or a steer or seen a bull other than television.
Mm.
So their vision, what they thought, changed, and what they were used to seeing on television became real, became
That's
reality for them.
That's right. That's right. And growing up here in Atlanta, it's that fine balance between like city life and still like country as well. So,
Mhm.
I'll be exposed to like our family's ranch or, friends who would have horses, all of that. However, though, I see outside of like in the South, whether it's Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, up north to the west, that's country. But us not knowing that all of us came from the South anyway. So, like, how do we better embrace our country roots, if you will, and then not think, that's not for Black folks.
To continue educating,
Mm-hmm.
to continue doing the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo, to continue for other rodeos, other cowboys, cowgirls, for Beyonce to continue doing what she's doing,
Yeah.
for Black country artists to continue to sing about what we live, what we do.
Hmm.
We're blessed to have social media now. So the more positive information that we put out there to show what we do, to show that we exist, then we're continuing to educate. But we have to be able to tell the story.
Yes, ma'am.
We have to be able to live the culture. We have
Mm-hmm.
to represent and let people know what it is.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Villery, one thing that I love seeing is that you manage social media, you're active on social media. Why is that so important? Because sometimes, like with my parents, their generation, like I'll just have to tell them, y'all, listen, if it didn't happen on social media, it didn't happen at all. So why is that so important?
Oh, wow. Caleb, I'm glad you brought that up. We were just having a conversation about this work. I will be 62 this year.
Wow.
So when I started in corporate America, the CPUs and monitors were just getting started. There were
Right.
these huge things. Everything else before that, we had pagers.
Yeah.
Then it went to flip phones. And then if you had a BlackBerry, it was like, woo, okay. And so the majority of things that we had to communicate with was via text, limited images,
Mm.
because cell phones cost a lot. I
Yeah.
had to use encyclopedias.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, with social media and the internet, it has taken education to a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
For me to be able to manage the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo social media pages and the foundation, I'm able to touch people I can't touch.
That's right.
Put our videos, our information, our history out there. So even if they can't attend a Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo because they're nowhere near, they can see it.
Mm-hmm.
They read about it. They can visualize what it's like. They can look at the pictures and go, oh my God, wow, did you see that? So that's why it's important for us to have social media to be able to reach the masses that
Mm-hmm.
we can't necessarily touch.
Yes, ma'am. That's right. And speaking on social media, I was able to find you there and see you on Roland Martin show. It was an excellent conversation. And about that conversation, right? Beyonce's album cover, everybody was debating about the American flag, but then seeing at the rodeos, y'all not only have that flag, but you have the Pan-African flag.
Yeah.
A Black American woman from the South in Texas, how did you feel about seeing an American flag? Did you feel like that was problematic? Me personally, I didn't have any problem with it because I'm like, we're from America, but how did you feel about it, Miss Villery?
That's normal for me.
Right.
I grew up in school saying that I pledge allegiance.
Hmm.
I was born in America.
Right.
I can't solve the issues that have happened. I
Mm-hmm.
can own, but I'm American. My
Yeah.
passport is I'm
Facts. Yeah. Right.
okay.
Right.
Our rodeo stretches across America.
Hmm.
And for us to have that, and then also we represent our Pan-African flag with
So it's
that,
both. Yeah.
do both, because
Yeah.
we're both
That's right.
important. That is very important. It's
Hmm.
all about the education,
Yeah.
old glory,
Yes, ma'am.
you know. So we take pride in representing both at every single one of our rodeos since 1984.
Wow.
We have had the American flag.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Until we decide to no longer, you will still see both flags
Yes,
because
ma'am.
that is part of our culture. When you look at other rodeos,
Mm.
the American flag is there.
Mm.
It's
Yes, ma'am.
it's part of who we are.
I completely agree. on that same standpoint, right? Whether you see kids or people from Jamaica, our brothers and sisters from Africa or wherever, Haiti, they'll show their flag out of
Mhm.
love and support of, who they are. How can our Black American kids who are from here, third, fourth, 10th generation, who knows, take more pride in us knowing, hey, I'm from Texas or I'm from Georgia and my people have a rich history too. But there's the cowboys, the cowgirls, whoever. How can we take more pride in our own history?
It comes from a foundation.
Yeah.
It comes from a foundation of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I had my great-grandparents, my grandparents,
Right.
my mom, and they laid out foundations. There's certain things that stood, regardless if I liked them or not. Okay. And I had to build on that foundation.
Yeah.
Sometimes I didn't like it, of course. I can do it better. But that foundation has allowed me to take pride in who I am and where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe if we get back to that foundation, if we get back to the schools and say the Pledge of Allegiance, to be able to know how to sing the national anthem, to be able to know, to be able to sing if you're Black, to be able to sing our Black national anthem,
Right.
lift their voice and sing.
Yeah.
Then hey, we have our pride, we have our history, we have something to stand on versus listening to all the chitter chatter that we don't stand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no place is perfect.
Mm.
I don't care where you go in this world,
Mm.
but living where you are, that you
Mm.
wake every day, that maybe you go to work, that you spend your money, that you're able to walk around free, that you don't have to worry about or be scared, if a bomb is going to come or anything like that.
Mm.
I take pride in that.
Mm.
It's not perfect, but I take pride in that.
Yeah. And we built it to begin with. So
We
we take
built it.
pride in that.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Stagecoach Mary, you had mentioned her earlier. I was
Mhm.
able to get up on her, blown away by her. Who was Stagecoach Mary?
Oh my gosh, this woman here. She was a big woman.
Mm.
And she was able to stagecoach, of course, what stagecoach looked like, to be able to carry the mail from one
Mm.
place to the next. Okay. And she carried her shotgun.
Mm.
Okay. Knew she couldn't be messed with. But for her to be able to do that, and she, carried the mail for years, is amazing to me because she made an impact way
Mm.
back then, because you didn't see too many women doing it, much less an African American woman.
That's right. Yes, ma'am. Miss Villery, what do you love the most, I would say, about working in the radio or in the rodeo, rather, being around people who look like you and around all the cowboys and the cowgirls? What do you love the most about that experience?
Living and seeing their reality come true every time they create Black West history in that arena.
Hmm.
We talk about reality shows, they're scripted.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Rodeo is not scripted because we don't
Hmm.
know what happened.
Wow.
What we can't repeat that same action again. They
Hmm.
may get to maybe rerun or something, but it's not exact.
Right.
And for the announcers to be able to narrate that,
Hmm.
to be able to tell a story so someone in the stands who don't understand, that's what we get to do because we get to narrate reality happening.
Wow.
So for me to be able to look and share, oh my God, they got this score. Oh my God, they got, this time, or they did this, or they did that. I'm actually there able to celebrate with them.
Wow.
And, and to know that I could call them family.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, that's important. That's exciting to me.
Yeah. Narrating that live, how hard is that? Because that sounds very difficult.
Well, um, it's not when you have a passion for it.
Right.
Yes, you have to study the Cowboys. You have to understand, what the event is. You have to know the rules behind it. And then studying the cowboys, not just them being a bulldog or a calf roper, or if she's a bell racer or a steer decorating, but knowing something about them. You know, what they do, what's their personal life. They're like normal people.
Wow.
Reason why we talk about that is to let other people out there go, oh, wow, somebody doing my same profession, I could do this too. And then to be able to talk about all their accomplishments and to be able to entertain and get the crowd hyped. And I mean, I love it. Give me a mic any day and I'm excited. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Loving it, right? If you love something, it's not work. When did you know, okay, I love this? Like, I really, really love this.
For announcing or for rodeo?
Yes, announcing. Announcing specifically.
Oh, wow. I think after I got over the fact after the first rodeo that, hey, this is something that I'm gonna be doing. I was like, you know what? Okay. And then Marcus was like, hey, you got this, just talking to the mic. And I went to his I did go to rodeo announcing school. It was Marcus. And I came second. Okay. And then after that, I was like, wow, I get excited. I love the production of the rodeo. Our team, Marcus announces, Avery Ford, which is Spanky, our rodeo clown, Tiffany Guest, which is our music director, and myself. The four of us get together before every performance. And we talk and make sure we're on the same page. And we talk about our game plans and we back up each other. Because anything that happens, that's who the people see.
That's right.
So we have to love what we do. Because our energy has to come across.
Yeah.
If my recommendation is, if you don't like talking in front of people, you don't have a fun personality, you know, scared or whatever the case may be, you might want to consider doing something else. You know.
Yes,
but knowing and reactions from the crowd and watch them and engaging and be able to get them hyped up and educate them. That's it.
Yes, ma'am. Rodeo announcing school. That sounds very interesting. What was that whole experience like for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, going over the rules. You have to know the rules. Like I said, you know, being a rodeo secretary for so long, understood the rules, but then there's some things that I don't quite know. So being educated on some other things. Promoting sponsors. You know, a lot of things in my background I'm familiar with because I've worked with the rodeo for so long and put on my own events. I understand that. But for someone coming in, knowing what the rules are, knowing how to speak into the mic, how to engage with the audience, how to give your sponsors play, how to tie back to where they need to be when things get off, how to be able to talk impromptu, because you're impromptu the whole time, and be flexible. So the rodeo school, Marcus's school, covers all that. It just helps you, but the rest of it comes with field training.
Wow. Experience.
Yes,
ma'am. Yes. As the first Black female rodeo announcer, what type of barriers, discrimination, challenges have you faced throughout your time?
That's a good question, Caleb.
Thank you.
I want to say acceptance, but it really hasn't been major. Because a lot of people were excited for me. I'm sure I had people think in their mind, question why her? Okay. But whatever that was, I didn't focus on that.
Right.
I focused that I was allowed to be a vessel to make a difference. And with the people that support me to help me get better. And I invested in self. So whatever the naysayers have, they don't make a difference in my pocket.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, They don't make a difference in my future.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
if I, you know, have anything in the future, it's just I'll be okay.
Yes, ma'am. You'll be able to handle yourself.
I can
Yes,
handle it.
yes, ma'am. From seeing previous stories on you, your doc, which was great, hearing you say that you were about to cry and said, "I'm not taking this anymore." How was
Yes.
how was that whole time of trying to find who you were, your voice, and then just finally saying, "Hey, I've had enough." What did that feel like being strong?
Working for Louis Vuitton is not easy.
Hmm.
Wasn't easy. And at first I didn't understand why he was so tough on me.
Hmm.
He expected so much. And like I said, he used to make me cry all the time. And then Jesse would make me cry. And I'd be like, I'm doing everything I possibly could. I'm, trying to understand this, the whole 9 yards. Because even though I grew up in rodeo, coming to be a rodeo secretary, that was new for me.
Hmm.
And then the day I did, and he told me, it's about damn time, little girl. I understood the lesson.
Hmm.
Because he told me I had to make you strong. Because what you're going to be dealing with in this,
Yeah.
you're going to have to be strong.
Yeah.
Which has allowed me to be able to talk to sponsors, has
Hmm.
allowed me to be able to have conversations, allowed me to be on podcasts like yourself, to host my own events,
Hmm.
because we all going to deal with something.
That's
So how do you handle that?
yeah.
And so I am forever grateful, forever, for him helping me find my voice. And when you were talking about country, he always told me, he said, I could take you out the country, but I can't take the country out of you. I said,
Hey, that's not a bad thing either. That's a good thing. Yes, ma'am. And you said something that was very important too about self-starter, right? Bill
mhm.
Pickett, Station Rodeo, seeing what you all do as Black people doing for self. Why is that so important? Because sometimes you'll see us trying to beg, trying to be inside of white spaces instead of just
Mm.
saying we could just start our own and flourish off of that. But why is that so important?
Oh, wow. Caleb, that goes back to every day.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. We're fortunate we can go to school, we can get educated. The first thing we want to do, definitely go into corporate America, because it's already there, right? There's a fine line between someone wanting to be an entrepreneur and somebody wanting to work 9 to 5 and get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Right.
So going into this, you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. You
Mhm.
have to have vision. You have to have that purpose. You have to be willing to want to do it.
Right.
So um, I hope I answered your question, because I kind of,
Oh, you did.
yeah,
So,
uh, yeah. I think it's going to take someone unique to be able to do that.
right.
Okay. To be able to create their own, but you have to invest. You have to understand what it is. You have to put in the time, because when you work for yourself, you don't get immediate gratification,
That's right.
and
That's
you
right.
actually work longer hours for yourself to
Yep.
somebody, and it doesn't stop at 5 o'clock.
Mm. Yes, ma'am.
It doesn't stop on Friday.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. There's no lies told in that. You're right. You're right. Corporate
Mhm.
sponsors, how do you go about trying to secure those sponsorships, get funding for the rodeo, all of that good stuff?
Well, our national sponsor and development director, which is Margot Wade LaDrew, handles that.
Mhm.
There is we have standards, different things that we want to be able to work with sponsors. But on my own experience, when I had my events, understanding what the product you have, and this
Mm.
is generic, understand what the product you have, but also helping the sponsor understand how they can benefit for that product that you're
Right.
giving them. What's their ROI? They
Mm.
want to know how are you going to help me?
Yes,
But you
ma'am.
be able to believe, be creative, to be able to let them know where you stand out, what the difference is, what audience you're going to reach, how is the sponsor going to be able to get their products into those people's lives.
Right.
So it takes all of that to understand when you go to the table to negotiate.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Villery, seeing you in the office. reading up on you, very successful in the corporate sector, corporate world. How do you try to balance that and also doing rodeo as well?
Woo, yes.
Like some challenge.
Woo, balancing this 37 years. And one of the things I have been blessed that whoever I work for is like, hey, this is what I do.
Mm,
Stand it and they respect it.
right.
And do I use up all my vacation? All my vacation is used up.
That's right.
You know, my life is on the weekends. Okay.
Mm,
When it's
mhm.
rodeo. But the company I work for now, you know, I'm the vice president of sales. I work for the Ford Insurance Agency. It's a Black-owned insurance company. And my boss knows me. He understands me. He backs me. He understands the importance. And also our junior partner. And so having their support and they believe in what I do, and they know that, oops, she's used up all her vacation. Okay. But yeah, having a good support behind you helps tremendously.
For sure. Touring all throughout the country with the rodeo, what would you say is your top two favorite cities to tour so far?
Woo. Hey, look, don't get me in trouble. Um, wow. You know, let me break it down like this. I like the West Coast.
Okay.
The reason why I say the West Coast is because when we go to Oakland, our
Mm,
arena sits in the valley.
yeah.
And when that American flag comes off that hill
Mm,
and gets into the arena,
wow.
it is a chilling experience, but something good.
Hmm.
And then when we go to LA, of course, it's star-studded, bougie,
Yeah.
you know, whole different culture.
Right.
But the West Coast is my favorite to visit. Um,
Hmm.
when I look back, I would also say Denver
Okay. Okay.
because it is in the Coliseum, but it's the Martin Luther King Jr. Rodeo of Champions,
Wow.
where we are back in Denver, Colorado, where it started in 1984.
Mm.
To see how we've grown and how people embrace. We were just there in January. It was a -6 and it was
Wow.
packed.
Wow.
So, you know, it's the energy. Each different market has different energies, but I think those three right there are probably my favorites.
Yeah.
You know, of course
Yes.
I find DC, but I think those three are my top.
Yeah. Listen, Atlanta, we got to step our game up so we can be on the list for you next time. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, that's no problem. Juneteenth, right? Now I feel like Juneteenth has been somewhat kind of like whitewashed, if you will, right? With seeing how now people are making t-shirts, you'll see shirts at Target post 2020, after George Floyd,
Right.
everybody's Juneteenth, federal
Right.
holiday now. They weren't trying to do it before then, but now everybody's celebrating Juneteenth. But as Black woman from Texas, actually from the
Yeah.
soil where Juneteenth originated from, what is Juneteenth? Because I think that sometimes all of us get it misconstrued now. We're getting false information. What exactly is Juneteenth and how big is it in Texas?
Oh my gosh. Juneteenth is our freedom. It's
Yeah.
when we found out
Yeah.
from Galveston, Texas. It
Mm,
took 2 years to get to us.
mm,
So we celebrate it because it is huge. And in Houston area or in Texas, especially Southeast Texas, we
mhm,
celebrate parades, we celebrated with rodeos, we
mm,
celebrated concerts, everything that you could possibly think of. It is now a national holiday. It took them forever to get it, and I'm so grateful that it's finally here.
mhm,
So now we have MLK Jr. and then we have Juneteenth.
mm.
But to be able to take that time off and celebrate who we are as people is very important to me. You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
not everybody understands, probably question why Juneteenth is important, but
Mhm.
it's because of what we went through, what we, contributed to everything. Okay. Let me put it like that.
Yes, ma'am. During this time too, everybody is looking at Texas, right? Whether it's Houston, whether it's Austin, all throughout Dallas, everybody's looking at Texas. Whether it's people that's trying to move there, whether it's the music, the food, whether it's Beyonce, Meg Thee Stallion. But I'm like, Texas was already cool for Black people before all of this, right? Because Texas made all those cool people what we see right now.
Right.
What do you think makes Texas so important to Black America's pulse? Because Atlanta gets all the shine, Detroit, the Bay, LA, but I'm like, Texas is just as cool. So why is Texas so important?
Woo, we're the Lone Star State.
Yeah, hey, you start off with that.
Okay. We're huge.
For
I'm
sure.
to Southeast Texas. That's where I
Mm,
grew up. And because of the cross of the Louisiana border.
right.
But we're a multicultural state.
Mm,
You know, you find a little bit of everybody. We're a Heinz 57. So
mm,
we're able to celebrate so many cultures.
right.
We're able to eat all types of food.
Mhm,
Like in the Houston area alone, you know, you can go to the Asian part of town. You can
mhm,
go to the Jamaican part of town. You can go all over. But Texas just takes everybody in.
right.
And then Southeast Texas, we have the Gulf. We're right there at the water. It may not be blue, but it's still up.
Hey, it's
Okay.
still water though.
It's still, and to be centralized pretty much in the United States,
Right, right.
where we spread out and touch so many states,
Yeah.
you know, just a little partial to it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Look, I like it too. Miss Villery, what do you think drives you every single day to just keep going? Because clearly you work hard in the office right now, rodeo
Mhm.
on the weekends. What drives you? Because average person, you know, they can say, "Hey, I'm 62, I'm chilling, I'm good, I'm done. Let me just chill on the ranch, ride some horses here and there." But what drives you every single day just to keep going?
My passion and make sure I lead the right legacy.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what's important to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Because even when I retire from my office job, you know, I'm still 100% Bill Pickett until I can't even open up my eyes anymore. You
Yes, ma'am.
know, there's a story to be told, and I want to be here to tell it and to be part of that, to make a difference.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's my passion. You know, there's some other things that I do also about giving back and being the best servant I can be.
Hmm.
I also want to make sure I lead.
Mm.
But in order to lead, you have to be what? A servant.
Yeah.
And you have to walk in that faith. So leaving that legacy, like I mentioned, you know, about my book, that I want to make sure that I leave to where my children's children can be able to look at it.
Mm.
Starting my podcast to where I can capture a lot of that information that
Hmm.
goes to that. As you've seen the part of the documentary that, you know, of myself, we're filming currently, getting ready to do that again, to create a documentary,
Yes, sir.
able to let people know a little girl from Beaumont, Texas,
Mm.
able to make an impact on other people's lives and tell a story. And it's not talking about, oh God, everything she can do, she all great, she all that. No, God uses me as a vessel to be able to tell his story.
Yes,
Where
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Wow. Spiller, you've been great. Only got about two more questions for you. What are some unknown facts, little unknown facts that we may not know about cowboys and Black cowgirls?
mm, unknown facts. Well, I mentioned one earlier, that one in every four, you know,
Hmm.
cowboys were Black. So that one for sure. Um, unknown. That there's more of us than the world knows.
Hmm.
Okay. Because when you look at, and we take the word Black, we look at South America cowboys.
Wow. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
We look at other cultures that are brown and Black
Yeah.
that wrote. So a lot of people just think, oh, just the US. No, we're all over.
Hmm.
We're all over, and we make an impact.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What is your favorite memory as an actual public announcer of the rodeo? What is your favorite memory of being involved in this? What's your favorite memory?
Mm. When I talked about our traveling museum,
Yeah.
because that was on Lou's bucket list. He dreamed about having an 18-wheeler. He wanted to
Wow.
be able to take the Bill Pickett history and travel all over the United States.
Hmm.
And for Valeria and Margot to make that happen, with companies in the team and our graphic designer to bring that vision together. And for me to talk about, we covered at that time 38 years covering 32 cities of Black West history. And we traveled all over the United States and talked about that. That just, I get emotional every time I think about it, because it's seeing Lou's legacy to continue, to see that his bucket list is being checked off. Same thing like being first on CBS, the first African-American rodeo to go to Las Vegas, and we've been there 3 times.
Wow.
To partner, and Pam Greer's there. We just did it would visit Fort Worth to partner with the PBR.
That's huge.
That's huge. To be on Pluto TV every time we're in Fort Worth. So I guess when you ask me that question, what's my favorite? It's just being able to talk about all our first.
Yes, ma'am.
And to continue to be first. We have 2 huge things that's about to roll out. I can't talk about them, but I'll stay tuned.
Hey, just stay tuned, right? That's it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Villery, this was truly an amazing conversation. I appreciate you for your time. Very last question. Where can everybody keep up with you, the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo, support it, all of that good stuff? Because I already know for a fact when you guys come to Atlanta, I'll be there to show love and support. So how can we keep up with you all?
Great. Well, with the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo, we have our website, BillPickettRodeo.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Bill Pickett Rodeo. So I'm excited about that. Okay.
Yes.
To follow me, it's A.M. Villery on Instagram or Acynthia Villery, but I'm building my own pages, and it's Acynthia Villery, the announcer. So show me some love. Y'all go out there and like all those pages,
Yes.
Also, when you go on our website, if they want to know more information, keep up, because we send out monthly newsletters and want to know our schedule, have them join the mailing list for the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo. And we send out newsletters all the time. It'll keep you on what's going on.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Villery, thank you again so much. The episode, when it's done, I'll make sure, to share it with you when it's up on YouTube. So I got you. But thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. You are doing amazing things. So I just got to give you all your flowers in that.
Well, thank you, Caleb. It is an honor, and I'm very humbled that you asked, and I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to meet you in person in Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, it's going to happen. I appreciate you. You have a great evening. All right.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah.